Something huge just happened, and almost no one in the US media is talking about it. While American headlines focus on Trump's latest outburst at the G7, Canada is quietly collecting allies. Trade deals, defense pacts, and tech collaborations are pouring in, and Washington isn't even in the room. From London to Seoul, governments that once relied on US leadership are now picking Ottawa as their preferred partner. Why? Stability, trust, and a political climate that doesn't swing every 4 years like a wrecking ball. This isn't a symbolic gesture. These are official, signed, ratified agreements. So, let's count down the 10 countries that just made it official. They're choosing Canada over the United States. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more engaging content. Number 10. Ukraine. Ukraine might seem like an unlikely place to start, given how much US aid it's received since 2022. But in a stunning diplomatic shift, Kyiv has begun turning to Canada as its fallback partner. With Trump storming out of this year's G7 and Congress gridlocked on military aid, President Zelensky needed a plan B, and Ottawa stepped up. Canada recently committed to a new round of defense collaboration with Ukraine, expanding beyond arms shipments into intelligence sharing, logistics support, and cyber defense planning. According to Reuters, Zelensky's delegation explicitly praised Canada's strategic consistency, contrasting it with Washington's instability. And it's not just rhetoric. Canadian firms are now involved in rebuilding Ukrainian infrastructure, from telecom networks to water treatment. Officials have even floated the idea of fast-tracking Ukrainian laborers into Canada's post-war immigration plan. While the US remains entangled in its own political drama, Canada is becoming Ukraine's reliable Western lifeline. In 2025, Kyiv's pivot north is as much about survival as strategy, and it's reshaping alliances in real time. Number 9. South Korea. In 2025, South Korea made one of the clearest pivots yet, toward Canada. During the G7 summit, Seoul's new president held direct bilateral talks with Prime Minister Mark Carney before even sitting down with the US delegation. The symbolism was unmistakable, and the deals were even more revealing. Korea has signed a series of clean tech and AI research initiatives with Canadian universities and private firms, aiming to build joint data centers and green energy labs. These are industries the US once dominated in Korean policy, but that grip is loosening. Canada's credibility on climate and stable governance gave Seoul a more dependable partner. What really sealed the shift, though, was defense. With tensions rising in the Taiwan Strait and North Korea launching yet another missile test in June, South Korea needed assurances. While Washington waffled, Ottawa quietly greenlit additional support under the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership signed last year. At a time when reliability matters most, South Korea is signaling that alliances based on consistency, not just power, will define the future. And right now, Canada is delivering both. Number 8. India. India is a nation that's long straddled the US-China divide, but 2025 has pushed it toward a new axis. During the G7 summit, Prime Minister Modi met privately with Canada's Mark Carney for the second time in just 3 months. And the results were big: a cross-border investment framework and a joint startup incubator focused on defense tech. What makes this even more striking is that India snubbed a US push for a parallel deal. According to the Indian Express, Washington's offer was bogged down in partisan red tape, while Ottawa simply delivered. It's a diplomatic win that's also deeply economic. India's tech ecosystem, one of the fastest growing in the world, now sees Canada as a preferred partner. Immigration corridors, research pipelines, and VC linkages are all being retooled northward. Even Canada's Indo-Pacific strategy is now shaped partly in consultation with Indian defense officials. The subtext? India is betting on pragmatism over posturing, and Canada is the one offering both partnership and predictability. Number 7. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia isn't often associated with Canada diplomatically, but 2025 has turned old assumptions on their head. In May, a breakthrough announcement revealed a strategic partnership between Riyadh and Ottawa focused on tech startups, AI, and future energy. It's not just a trade deal, it's a long-term pivot. What's driving it? Frustration with Washington's unpredictable policy shifts, especially around human rights and arms sales. While US relations continue to be transactional and turbulent, Canada's low-drama, business-first approach is paying off. Riyadh sees a stable, neutral partner it can invest in without political backlash. Canadian officials signed a 5-year innovation framework with the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, offering joint access to emerging markets and university-led R&D hubs. According to Next Stars, the partnership is expected to unlock billions in bilateral investment over the next decade. Canada is also taking a softer approach to diplomacy, quietly working with Saudi Arabia on regional water security and women-led tech ventures. This collaborative tone stands in sharp contrast to Washington's increasingly combative posture. The result? A deeper shift in global alignment that sees Saudi Arabia looking past power and toward partnership. Number 6. Germany. Germany has long been one of America's closest allies, but recent developments suggest that Berlin is recalibrating by deepening ties with Ottawa. And in 2025, that shift just became formal. This month, Canada and the European Union finalized a sweeping defense procurement pact, opening up joint access to arms manufacturing, cybersecurity platforms, and green defense R&D. Germany, the EU's industrial engine, is already sending procurement officials to Canada to coordinate projects. Why? Because Trump's re-election bid and the GOP's threats to pull back from NATO have rattled Berlin's security establishment. According to DW, German officials no longer believe the US can be counted on in a crisis. Canada, meanwhile, is emerging as a stable transatlantic bridge. The deal also supports Canada's icebreaker program and German naval upgrades, two defense sectors that now rely on shared innovation. Even culturally, there's a reset underway. Joint exhibitions, student exchanges, and military diplomacy exercises are expanding across both nations. Germany may not be severing ties with the US, but in 2025, it's clear they're hedging their bets. And Canada is becoming Berlin's Plan A for reliability and resilience. Number 5. Australia. Australia has always leaned west, but 2025 is proving to be a pivot point. This June, Brussels confirmed that Australia, like Canada, is now negotiating a defense pact directly with the EU. And Canberra's position? They're reportedly modeling it after Canada's recent strategic agreements. This shift isn't just symbolic. According to Euronews, Australia sees Canada's partnership as the new gold standard, reliable, tech-forward, and not tethered to Washington's political chaos. As the Indo-Pacific heats up, Australia needs alliances that don't hinge on who wins the US election. Joint procurement discussions, clean energy research, and space tech collaborations have already begun between Canberra and Ottawa. Universities in both countries are launching exchange fellowships in defense innovation and supply chain security. And public support for deeper ties with Canada is growing across political lines. The move also reflects disillusionment with America's regional strategy. From AUKUS turbulence to missed climate targets, Australian leaders are now actively diversifying away from US dependence. In 2025, Australia isn't just looking for backup, it's looking for balance, and Canada is increasingly the partner of choice. Number 4. France. France has never shied away from asserting its independence, but its growing closeness with Canada in 2025 is something new. What began as quiet coordination on Arctic policy has now evolved into a full-spectrum alliance. At the G7 summit, French President Macron reportedly told aides that Canada is now Europe's most dependable partner outside the continent. That comment followed months of joint planning on cybersecurity, green tech manufacturing, and space defense. Culturally, the ties run deep. Shared language, education exchange programs, and joint media productions have helped create a seamless diplomatic rapport. But the new urgency comes from geopolitical instability. With Trump's resurgence and NATO tensions rising, France is seeking backup that isn't based in Washington. In April, Canada and France co-hosted the Global Forum on Defense Innovation, with military and civilian leaders outlining shared priorities for autonomous systems and AI security. Follow-up commitments include joint testing centers in Quebec and Normandy. France is building a Plan B, and it looks more like Ottawa than DC. In this era of shifting alliances, Canada is quietly becoming Europe's favorite fallback. Number 3. United Kingdom. In 2025, the United Kingdom made a dramatic statement, choosing to double down on its relationship with Canada rather than reignite ties with a politically volatile US. Just weeks before the G7 summit, London and Ottawa announced the formation of a new joint trade and defense working group. The focus: resilience, tech cooperation, and reducing reliance on American systems. According to Reuters, the deal covers everything from arms production to digital infrastructure, allowing both countries to sidestep US-based vendors and set their own standards. UK defense officials called Canada the most strategically aligned partner in the post-Brexit era. That's a bold shift from the historic Atlantic First stance. The collaboration extends beyond military and trade. The UK is now pursuing co-investment in Arctic research with Canadian agencies and has authorized dual-deployment naval teams to monitor shared geopolitical flashpoints. Culturally, the alignment is easy. Shared values, legal frameworks, and media ecosystems allow fast coordination. But politically, it's also a statement. London is tired of catering to unpredictable White House agendas. With this working group, the UK isn't just picking Canada as a partner, it's elevating it to co-strategist. And that move is echoing across other European capitals. Number 2, European Union. It's not often the entire EU moves in unison on security policy, but Canada has become the rare exception. In mid-2025, Brussels signed a groundbreaking defense procurement pact with Ottawa, giving Canadian firms access to a defense market worth over $100 billion annually. The agreement was fast-tracked after a string of White House walkouts from NATO-related meetings and Trump's open suggestion to let Europe fend for itself. That remark didn't sit well in Berlin, Paris, or Brussels, and Canada moved quickly to fill the void. The pact includes shared cybersecurity training, AI systems testing, and a joint Arctic surveillance initiative. It also outlines Canada's inclusion in EU defense tenders previously restricted to member states, a strong signal that trust has shifted north. This isn't just about military hardware. The EU is also embracing Canadian models on climate defense integration, transparency in procurement, and civilian resilience training. In the words of one EU official, the US left the room, Canada stayed at the table. And in 2025, that's proving to be the smarter bet. Number 1, Finland. Once a quiet Nordic power, Finland is now making bold moves on the global stage, and its clearest signal yet came in 2025 when it elevated Canada as its primary defense and Arctic cooperation partner. This year, both nations advanced joint projects focused on icebreaker fleets, polar surveillance, and hybrid warfare resilience. While the US remained distracted by political infighting, Finland turned north. According to official Canadian government statements, Helsinki and Ottawa co-hosted an unprecedented trilateral forum on Arctic security alongside Norway, leaving Washington out. Finland praised Canada's stable commitment to multilateral defense, a veiled contrast to growing volatility in US foreign policy. In addition to defense, Finland and Canada launched collaborative education programs and signed mutual cybersecurity response agreements. Canadian Arctic engineers are already working alongside Finnish specialists to design next-generation research stations resistant to sabotage and climate disruption. Culturally, the fit is strong. Two democracies with transparent governance, high education levels, and a deep respect for northern geography. But politically, this is a cold calculation. Finland sees Canada as the future of North American credibility. Across the globe, a quiet but undeniable shift is underway. From Europe's corridors of power to the Indo-Pacific and beyond, Canada is becoming the ally nation's trust when Washington wavers. Whether it's defense procurement, climate security, or refugee policy, Ottawa is stepping into a vacuum, and doing it with quiet competence. The world isn't just watching anymore, it's choosing. So what do you think? Is Canada truly becoming the new backbone of global alliances, or is this just a temporary pivot until US leadership stabilizes again? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more global insight, only here on Globe Discoveries.